What's up, everybody? It's Purple Chevrolet Live Sports, and I'm back here for another NBA video. So now we have the Warriors versus Trailblazers game 2 in Oracle Arena in Oakland. So in game 1, the story of the game was the Blazers' defense on Stephen Curry off of the pick and roll. And basically their defense off of the screens for catch and shoot opportunities for guys like Klay Thompson as well. So I think the story of this game tonight will be, can they correct their defense on the pick and roll and for the catch and shoot? Because we don't know how long it's going to be before Kevin Durant gets back, and it's already, actually I've heard that and read that he won't be back for a while. He still hasn't even stepped foot on the court. He still has pain in his calf. So the Warriors are going to have to play without him for at least for the rest of the series, it looks like. Maybe till game 4, but I don't know how long that's going to be. So really, Golden State's just going to have to keep moving the ball and keep getting good shots off the pick and roll and just keep utilizing that as part of their game plan, which has really been a staple for a long time, especially since really Steve Kerr got there, him utilizing the pick and roll to a certain extent to create opportunities for everybody to shoot the ball or for people to get the ball, create opportunities for themselves. So, and also getting off of these screens and making sure that they make plays off of them. Golden State, especially Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, they don't always look to shoot off of the screens. They actually they do look to shoot most of the time, but they also look to hit the screener for a basket for easy layup or easy dunk, because a lot of times they get double teamed off of those screens. So look for that as well if Portland tries to do that as much, and then they can do a lot of swing passes. It's Steph Curry, to me, I believe he's going to have another good game again. There's not a lot. You can say that if you come up on the screens, that's going to help him as much, but I don't think so, because Steph Curry does like to drive on big men, and he's good at finishing at the basket. So Portland's going to have to really pick their poison, because then if you have a helper for a guy, if Steph Curry drives, then he can kick it to anybody who else is open. So there's a strategy that you have to employ to be smart, because you don't want to necessarily double team Steph Curry, but you don't want to leave him open on the perimeter. You want to be at least close to where you can contest a shot, but not too close to where you can drive by you. So that's where you have to really kind of tinker with that in that area. Then for the Blazers, I already talked about their defense, but offensively, they're going to have to find ways for Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum to get open. You're probably going to see a lot of more screens for them off ball or just things of that nature to get them going. Maybe more off the dribble pick and roll stuff. You never really know what Portland's going to do, but you can't really count that out, because Damian Lillard does love the screen and roll game. That's one of the staples of him, just being able to take advantage of defense, take advantage of the big men on the other side. So I envision seeing that more in this game. Damian Lillard's probably going to attack Steph Curry more, just because Steph Curry is the easiest guy you want to attack on defense. I mean, offensively, when you're going at the Warriors' defense. I also believe that the Warriors' bench could probably play a big role in this game, and possibly, if they're playing well this series, then they could probably shorten the series to 4 or 5 games. I did pick the Warriors in 6. But the Warriors could shorten this depending on if they can keep their hot shooting and if their bench could play a big role in how they're securing rebounds. Steph Curry stays out of trouble, which he did in game 1. If Steph Curry's not really in foul trouble, I think that's going to help them. And then he is in his usual rotation, getting rest when he usually does, instead of having to take out moments when it just kind of throws off the rotation. So the rotation being set in stone, the bench players playing well, that'll be good for Golden State. And then for Portland, their bench also has to play well for this series. It can't just be a matchup of just starters for both teams. If both teams have their benches playing well, then it'll depend on which team's starters are clicking on all cylinders. So I think I'm going to watch for the Blazers bench this game and for the backcourt for the Blazers to see if they're going to perform up to par and if they're going to make requisite changes on their defense. Because even though I said there's not much you can do, you got to at least do something. My thing is, if you want to come up on those pick and rolls, is that you're kind of exposing your defense to 2 different areas, which I said Steph Curry can drive by that guy, and then if another guy wants to come up and help, then Steph Curry can just pass to another open man. So I think the Warriors offense is so complex because if you want to try to take away one thing, then they have another way of exposing that one thing that you want to take away, and then exposing your defense in another way to make sure that you won't do that again, so then they can get what they want. So Blazers have to be careful with that. And one thing I wanted to say before I end this video is that the Warriors are a great team with or without Kevin Durant. But with Kevin Durant, I think he brings a different element to their offense, which is they're more efficient when he's taking shots as well, even though the ball doesn't move as much. He's kind of that guy, if you need a shot, then he can get it to you because he's unguardable, and he can get it from any spot on the floor. And also, I was listening to First Take this morning, and one thing that really bothered me and still bothers me is that you want to put an asterisk next to Kevin Durant coming to the Warriors. And the reason why that bothers me is because there is no easy path to a championship. And I think you saw that last year on their run. And even the year before, I'm going to say, even though they went 16-1 in their playoff run, nothing is easy. You know, even though they won all their games by a double-digit point margin, basically, nothing is easy. Nothing is given. So to say that there's going to be an asterisk next to Kevin Durant's championships, you can't do that because it's not a given that they're going to be there, even though Kevin Durant does take them over the top. And you can say that it is a given. I know people would say that, which I guess you can say it's a given because of how talented he is, how much he adds to their team defensively and offensively. But I think him going there not only made him a better basketball player and him learning how to play, but it really shows you the culture that if you have a good culture and you got good players like Steph Curry, who to me signifies what it is to be a superstar, then it's easier to play. I think people get it twisted that if you have all these superstars, then it's easy. That's completely the opposite. If you have a team full of superstars like the Warriors, let's say you have another team with five great stars, like let's say the 76ers. Well, that's going to be a good team. But the 76ers, to me, their really big problem is they haven't established a great culture. And guys, I hate to pick on Ben Simmons a lot because I feel like I do, but him not improving in the offseason to me is a big issue to why their culture and their team hasn't advanced past the second round like they did last year. And they run into teams like Toronto and Boston. You have to add something to your game every year. I feel like the Warriors, Steph Curry, to me, he adds something every year. He comes back. He's already a great shooter. This year he came back a better shooter than he was in the previous 2 years. Klay Thompson, every year he gets better coming off the dribble, making shots. He gets better at handling the ball. Kevin Durant he gets more efficient every year and he takes better shots every year, even though like consistently he shoots above 50% from the field. It's ridiculous how efficient he is. But he came back. He learned how to play defense the first year with Golden State. The next year he came back, became an even better defender than this year. Not only is he an elite defender now, but he's a great playmaker. So this Warriors team, to me, it signifies how not only is there a great culture in place, but it teaches you all the things you need to improve on to become a better player in the system. And even if you move on, then you can take those things with you. The Warriors culture is the best in the league at this point, and I think it will continue to be with or without Kevin Durant if he shows that he wants to leave in the summertime. So let's not put an asterisk next to the Warriors or Kevin Durant. That's not fair because they've had to fight for what they had. And I'm going to go back to last year. Houston, yes, they were up 3-2, and Chris Paul did go down, but you saw this year that last year they still had to fight. This year they had to fight. And like I said, it's just nothing is given in the NBA. It's still not going to be given. This team is really good. This team is great, all-time great. But it's not given. They still had to be battle tested to get to where they wanted to be. So when I hear guys say there's going to be an asterisk because you went to a 73-win team, oh boo-hoo. Then why don't we put an asterisk next to Cleveland? Because believe it or not, I think the Warriors would have won in Game 5 had Draymond Green not been suspended, because their whole rotation was messed up when Draymond Green was out. Andre Iguodala ended up injuring his back in that game. Andrew Bogut, everybody forgets that year he had a bone bruise on his knee, and then he couldn't play the rest of the series in Game 5. So if we're going to do that, then should we put an asterisk next to Cleveland's championship? But nobody wants to put that in the equation. So how about we all grow up here, and if we're going to put an asterisk next to that, then how about somebody besides Stephen A. Smith, who I've heard say this on many occasions, is that Cleveland got lucky in that Draymond Green got suspended, then we're going to have to put that next to Cleveland's championship if we're going to be fair. Then we wouldn't have seen Kevin Durant here. If the Warriors would have won the championship that year, Kevin Durant wouldn't have been here. Let's just be honest. So that's going to do it for this video. This is my breakdown on the Warriors Game 2 and on the asterisk that people want to put next to Kevin Durant for joining the Warriors, his championships. Nothing is given in this league, and if we're going to put an asterisk on that, on his 2 championships, his 2 finals MVPs, then guess what? We're going to put an asterisk on Cleveland's championship because you could say it's smart on LeBron's part for banning Draymond Green. But had LeBron not done that and kind of been a wuss about that, Cleveland never would have won a championship. Golden State would have won in Game 5. I guarantee that. Because Draymond Green was at another level in that series. And he was probably going to be the finals MVP. So that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for listening. This was my breakdown, and I will see you guys in the next video.